17 years now, Doctor Who's been shuttling back and forth across time and space and solving intergalactic problems to the delight of millions of people, of course. And a new season of stories has just started on BBC One, episode 2 of The Leisure Hive, tomorrow at 20 minutes past 6. And welcome, my guest this evening, Tom Baker. Lovely to see you.
It's nice to be seen by you.
The Leisure Hive, actually, I gather, because I'm afraid I missed last week, it's very remiss of me, but I gather it's a sort of cosmic holiday camp or something like that.
Yes, that's the idea. It's a group of people who just simply are reduced to having no function at all except passing the time. I suppose a bit like the unemployed in this country. But that's what it is, actually.
Nasty crack.
Well, but we've tried to make it amusing and ironical and funny and dramatic, which is the way we think Doctor Who should always be anyway.
Have you got some monsters to contend with?
Yes, we've got pretend monsters. That is, monsters that appear to be more dangerous than they are. I mean, there has been a film made on that subject, hasn't there, where people can enter into an experience where, in fact, they're not going to get killed or they're not really in any danger, but they get the thrill of going through it. And the Leisure Hive is not a million miles away from that.
Sort of just frightening people for fun, which is really what Doctor Who itself is, in a sense, all about.
Yes, which is often what life is like as well.
When you're not actually on the screen, there isn't a series of Doctor Who going on. Are you Doctor Who for the entire year?
I'm Doctor Who in relation to children, yes. I never ever forget that. Mm. But no, I find it extremely wearisome in the ordinary way of life of going to restaurants or the cinema or whatever, and having people respond to me just as Doctor Who. I find it wearisome, although I find it entirely understandable, you see, because anybody who knows me, like anyone who knows anyone who's on television or in films, is only responding to the fictional character, you see. So everybody who can be bothered to say hello or I like your program or I hate your program, which quite often is the start of a conversation.
Is it really?
Oh, yes. It's often just responding to a fiction. Yeah. I mean, I'm not as benevolent and not as amusing and not as reliable and don't have the same absolute moral sense of the character I play.
Do people come up to you and say, I hate your program?
Well, yes, they do. But, I mean, I think that it's very curious that people often say, you're Doctor Who, aren't you? And I say, yes, I am. And they say, I watch your program. And then I have to say, well, I hope you like it. And they say, no, I think I hate it. It's daft. And then I say, well, I'm sorry about that. And then the next thing they say is, however, my daughter Samantha, she's just crazy about this program. And maybe you do the business. And doing the business means writing an autograph. And so they get some dreadful cigarette packet. And, of course, I wouldn't be seen dead signing a cigarette packet. And then out of my bag I produce some charming picture supplied by the BBC or a badge or something like that. And then I ask how old Samantha is, and they say, is that any business of yours? And then I have to say things like, well, it is. I mean, if she's only 4, she can't read a joined-up writing yet. And they say, oh, yes, that's true. Well, she's 4. And then so I write a little message from Doctor Who, and then from saying, I think your program's silly or I hate your program, the fellow then says, would you like a drink? So it's a funny way.
What you're really saying is the way, as you said at the beginning, that people react to figures on television.
That's
right. It's
a
very strange relationship, isn't it?
It's very odd. Fortunately, of course, I don't play a hard man on television. I mean, some of my acquaintances who play so-called tough guys have a very, very hard time indeed in public because there's always some kind of mild psychotic who wants to take them outside and show off and see how hard they are. But fortunately, the response I get is mostly teasing and benevolence. Yeah.
Do the children, though, do they expect you to do some miracle in front of their very eyes?
Oh, no.
Because you're Doctor?
No, they don't. And that would be a terrible mistake, I think, to try and do that. It all happens in their imagination, you see. And I'm always quite quiet when I meet them and smile. That's all they expect me to do, to smile and be nice.
Do you watch the program yourself?
Not always, but of course I see a great deal of it as it's put together. One of the things actors have a problem about is that if you watch too many rushes or if you watch the final product, if you're disappointed in it, you get very grieved since one's ego is dented. And there's nothing you can do about it. So that just upsets you. if you were a very powerful actor, you could say, we'll do that scene again. I'm not that sort of powerful actor. So frequently I don't see it. And then if someone says it's terrible, I didn't see it, and so that makes the pain easier. And if they did like it, then I'm delighted to hear that it was good.
Now, I wondered really if you watched it in company with children ever.
Oh, I sometimes do that. I mean, perhaps more than sometimes. Yes, that's terrific fun, especially if they're children who don't know me, because then the whole evening is taken up with double takes. Because the children,
does that really happen?
Oh, yes, because the children see me coming up on the screen and then have to do this massive double take to see if I'm still sitting on the sofa next to them, which is fun, actually.
That has really happened, actually.
Oh, yes, yes, it's happened, yeah. Cool. I mean, I'm licensed, you see. The thing is that there are several paradoxes about popular television. And the main paradox is that once a character is established as success, that is, he or she is reaching millions of viewers, at that very moment, the character freezes and there can be no development. I think some of my friends would argue at that. I find it unarguable. I mean, anyway, I can't bear people who disagree with me, but there's no doubt about it that once you hit that kind of success, there can be no change, because television, practically by definition, takes place in a domestic context. And therefore, the response of the people who watch television, often popular television, when their guard is down because they're tired and it's the end of the week or it's the end of the working day, don't want sudden changes.
No.
They want, it's rather like being, I think, a favourite sort of uncle or visitor or something. And they want you always to be predictably amusing and reliable and always coming down on the moral side.